Diksha Mission JRF. This is the 53rd episode of Diksha Mission JRF. I hope you haven't missed any of our videos. So in this episode, we'll be discussing the questions from communication topic that have appeared in the year 2nd December 2019 afternoon shift. Other than previous year question discussion, we have a lot more lectures on the topic paper 1 in our paper 1 online course. To know more about the paper 1 complete online course provided by Diksha, you can visit www.dikshaclassroom.com. So let's start. Hello everyone, welcome to Diksha Classroom. So in this episode, we are going to discuss the previous year questions from the topic communication. We'll be discussing the questions that have appeared in the year 2nd December 2019 afternoon shift paper 1 examination. So let's start. This is the first question that have appeared from the topic communication. Which of the following are essential for good classroom communication? 6 options are given in the question. Overemphasize on certain words, use of gobbledygook, proper employment of redundancy, immediacy of feedback, non-verbal cues, and sidelining student criticism. So from these options, you have to select the points which are essential for good classroom communication. Which are the points which can contribute to good classroom communication? Here in this question, proper employment of redundancy, immediacy of feedback, and non-verbal cues are essential for good classroom communication. Let's discuss why. The word redundancy, let's get familiar with the terms. Redundancy. This word comes from the Latin word redundare, or compete or increase is the meaning. It means information surplus. For example, more information than necessary. That is what redundare is. So when properly used, redundancy can make the communications and learning process inside the classroom more fruitful and more informative. So redundancy is the overusage of information, but if we employ it properly, it is a very good classroom communication factor. It may lead to good classroom communication. So proper employment of redundancy is the correct one. Then what about immediacy of feedback? How feedback influences a good classroom communication? We know student feedback is critical to students' learning. Similarly, without feedback of any kind, students would not learn at all. Students would end up doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. As teachers, their primary role for students is to provide opportunities for feedback, preferably in different forms. So, immediacy of feedback from the teacher, which is directed to students, and also the feedback which is accepting from the student about the teaching process influences a classroom communication. So this feedback is important in both sides, in the teaching side and in the learning side also. So immediacy of feedback can be considered as a good indicator of good classroom communication. Now what about non-verbal cues? Non-verbal messages are an essential component of communication, any communication. So in teaching process also, non-verbal cues play an important role. Non-verbal cues such as one's facial expression, body language, gesture, postures, pitch and voice modulation a teacher uses. All of these components play an important role in how a classroom communication goes. If these non-verbal cues are implemented appropriately, this can lead to a good classroom communication. It can make the classroom communication more effective. So yes, non-verbal cues is also an essential component of good classroom communication. Now, why we excluded the other 3 options? Overemphasize on certain words. We know that is not a good component. That is not a good indicator of classroom communication. If we overemphasize on certain words, it will only waste our time. It will only make the information or the knowledge component much more confusing. So overemphasis on certain words can be excluded from the option. Now, what about gobbledygook? Gobbledygook may be an unfamiliar term for you. Gobbledygook is the use of language that is meaningless or which is made unintelligible by the excessive use of technical terms. So if a term uses excessive technical words in order to make it meaningless or confusing is what gobbledygook is. Is this a good indicator of good classroom communication? No. If a teacher uses gobbledygook or if a student uses gobbledygook during a classroom communication, it will only make classroom communication much worse. So we can exclude this one also. Now, sidelining student criticism. Is that a good one? No. We have to accept the feedback and criticism and the opinion from the side of students about the teaching learning process. So, sidelining student criticism cannot benefit in good classroom communication, so we can exclude this one also. So, the correct answer will be the option containing the codes 3, 4 and 5, which is option C. Now, moving to the second and the last question of communication which have appeared in the year 2019, 2nd December afternoon shift. Micro expressions as part of classroom communication are negative, positive, manipulative and fleeting. Here the key term is micro expression. It is a very simple question that you can answer if you know the correct meaning of these terms. Here the question is about the nature of micro expressions. So before answering that, we have to know what micro expressions are. Micro expression is very short or brief automatic facial expression that appears on a person's face in respective to the emotion that the person is going through. These type of expression occur in half a second or less. It's very short in time. That is why it is named as micro expression, because it is a very short duration. It is a very short duration. Because of this short duration nature, micro expressions are considered as fleeting. Fleeting means very brief, lasting for a very short time. That is what fleeting is. So fleeting, the meaning of fleeting is brief, lasting for a very short time, a very small period. That is what fleeting is. So we can simply say micro expressions are fleeting or micro expressions are brief, which last for a very short time. So the correct answer will be fleeting. Whereas it cannot be regarded as positive or negative as a part of classroom communication. Also, micro expressions are used to understand more about a person and their true emotions. So it is difficult to fake micro emotions, micro expressions, because we cannot fake it. We cannot say it is manipulative in nature. So we can exclude all these options. It is not negative, micro expression is not positive, and it is not manipulative, or it cannot be faked. So these three options are excluded. Hence, the right answer is option D. So these are the questions that have appeared from the topic communication in this year. I hope you have a better understanding about these two concepts, and I hope you get an idea about how communication question appears in question papers. Thank you. So that's all about the questions from communication. I hope you have understood the ideas and concepts well in these questions. So I hope your preparations are going well. Don't waste your time. Prepare well. Exams are coming. So you can avail so many materials and video lectures through our Paper 1 online, complete online course. So to know more about the course, you can visit www.dikshaclassroom.com, and you can also attend free mock test provided by Diksha by using Diksha Learning app. To download the app, you can go to Play Store and download Diksha Learning app. Then you can attend 2 free mock tests provided by Diksha. So we'll see you in the next episode with some other previous year questions. Thank you.